Hello, young readers and wonderful families. Are you ready to unlock the magic inside of another beautiful story? I'm Lakeisha Bolling, and this is Book with Mrs. Bolling, the podcast where stories come to life, hearts grow bigger, and every reader discovers their own voice. Each week, we'll explore a new book from my magic bookshelf, stories that help us learn, laugh, and understand the people we love even more deeply. Today's story is Wilfrid Gordon McDonald Partridge by Mem Fox, illustrated by Julie Vivas. Today's story is a tender, powerful, and full of love. It reminds us how important it is to cherish the people in our lives, especially those who are getting older and maybe need our help, patience, and kindness. Let me tell you about this book and why it's so special, and about the little boy with a very big name. Wilfrid Gordon McDonald Partridge is a young boy who lives right next door to a nursing home. He spends his days visiting the residents, listening to their stories, sharing laughs, and learning little bits of wisdom from each one of them. But his favorite friend of all is Miss Nancy, who is almost 100 years old. Wilfrid admires her. Are you ready to read the story, my friends? All right, here we go. Wilfrid Gordon McDonald Partridge, written by Mem Fox, illustrated by Julie Vivas. There was once a little boy named Wilfrid Gordon McDonald Partridge. And what's more, he wasn't very old either. His house was right next to an old person's home, and he knew all of the people who lived there. He liked Mrs. Jordan, who played the organ. He listens to Mr. Hoskins, who told him scary stories. He played with Mr. Tippett, who was crazy about cricket. He ran errands for Miss Mitchell, who walked with a wooden spoon. He admired Mr. Drysdale, who had a voice like a giant. But his favorite person of all was Miss Nancy Allison Decoud Cooper, because she had four names just as he did. He called her Miss Nancy, and he told her all of his secrets. One day, Wilfrid Gordon heard his mother and father talking about Miss Nancy. "Poor old thing," said his mother. "Why is she a poor old thing?" asked Wilfrid Gordon. "Because she's lost her memory," said his father. "It isn't surprising," said his mother. "After all, she's 96. "What's a memory?" asked Wilfrid Gordon. He was always asking questions. "It is something you remember," said his father. But Wilfrid Gordon wanted to know more. So he called on Mrs. Nancy, who played the organ. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something warm, my child, something warm." He called on Mr. Hosking, who told him scary stories. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something from long ago, my lad. Something from long ago." He called on Mr. Tippett, who was crazy about cricket. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something that makes you cry, my boy. Something that makes you cry." He called on Miss Mitchell, who walked with a wooden spoon. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something that makes you laugh, my darling. Something that makes you laugh." He called on Mr. Drysdale, who had a voice like a giant. "What's a memory?" he asked. "Something as precious as gold, young man. Something as precious as gold." So Wilfrid Gordon went home again and looked for some memories for Miss Nancy because she had lost her own. He looked for a shoebox of shells that he had found long ago last summer, and he put them gently into a basket. He found a puppet on a string, which always made everyone laugh, and he put it in the basket too. He remembered with sadness the medal which his grandfather had given him, and he placed it gently next to the shells. Next, he found his favorite football, which was precious as gold. And after all, on his way to Miss Nancy, he went to the hen house and took a fresh, warm egg from the nest. Then Wilfrid Gordon called on Mrs. Nancy and gave her each thing one by one. "What a strange child for you to bring me all these wonderful things," thought Miss Nancy. And then she started to remember. She held the warm egg and told Wilfrid Gordon about the tiny speckled blue eggs she had once found in a bird's nest in her aunt's garden. She put the shells to her ear and remembered going to the beach by the tram long ago and how hot she had felt in her button-up boots. She touched the gold medal and talked sadly about her big brother, who she loved. He had gone to war and never returned. Then she smiled at the puppet on a string and remembered the one that she had shown her sister and how she had laughed with a mouthful of porridge. She bounced the football to Wilfrid Gordon and remembered the day that she met him and all the secrets he had told. And the two of them smiled and smiled because Mrs. Nancy's memory had been found again by a little boy who wasn't very old either. Because of Wilfrid's kindness, her memories returned like sunshine breaking through clouds. This story teaches us something really important. When the people we love grow older, our time, kindness, and attention matters more than ever. Miss Nancy didn't need something expensive. She didn't even need anything fancy. She needed someone who cared, someone who listened, and someone who understood her. Wilfrid shows us that even children can bring comfort, joy, and strength to the adults around them, especially grandparents, great-grandparents, elderly neighbors, and anyone who may be forgetting things or slowing down. Here's this week's reading challenge. Think about someone older in your life, maybe a grandparent, an older neighbor, a family friend, or even a teacher. What memories do you have to share with them? What stories do you love to hear? What small gestures can you give them that would make them feel remembered? A picture you drew? A song you sang? A hug? Or even just your time? These simple gifts mean the world. Readers, thank you for exploring this heartfelt story with me. Remember, your elders are treasures. Cherish them, celebrate them, and hold them and their memories very close to your heart. Thank you for joining me for another story adventure on Book with Mrs. Bolling. Each story we read helps us to see the world in a new way. Keep reading, keep imagining, and keep being kind. And remember, if you finish a book this week, send me your podcast shout-out cards, and I might feature you on our next episode. Until next time, stay curious and keep getting booked.